You know, it's easy to think that once you reach a certain age, life just sort of settles. You've done the hard work, raised the family, built whatever career you built, and now it's time to put your feet up, perhaps potter in the garden or finally get around to that stack of books. And for many, that vision is absolutely lovely. But for some, something else happens. There's a creeping sense of dissatisfaction, maybe even unhappiness, that they just can't shake. They look around, they see others seemingly content, and they wonder, why isn't it like that for me? It's almost as if they're accidentally undermining their own joy without even realizing it. There are certain patterns, certain mistakes, if you like, that are incredibly common. And frankly, they can absolutely scupper your chances of real, lasting happiness in these golden years. These aren't grand, dramatic errors, but subtle, insidious habits of thought and behavior that chip away at contentment day by day. And the shocking truth is, many people don't even see them as mistakes at all. They just feel like the natural way things are. In this video, we're going to uncover 5 of these surprising pitfalls, shine a light on why they're so damaging, and talk about how you can gently steer clear of them. Stick with me until the end, because one of these might just completely change the way you think about your own happiness right now. Let's dive straight into the first one, and it's perhaps the most deeply ingrained for many. It's the mistake of letting your past achievements and your past identity become the sole measure of your present worth and potential for happiness. Think about it. For decades, much of our identity was tied up in what we did. We were defined by our jobs. Maybe you were an engineer, a teacher, a nurse, a builder, a shopkeeper, or we were defined by our roles within the family. The primary caregiver, the breadwinner, the one who fixed everything. These were huge parts of who we were, and they came with responsibilities, routines, recognition, and a clear sense of purpose. Then, retirement hits. The children are grown and have their own lives. The structure that defined your days for 40, maybe 50 years, vanishes almost overnight. And suddenly, you're left asking, who am I now? The shocking mistake here isn't retiring. Of course, it's failing to build a new definition of self that isn't reliant on those old structures. It's living in a constant state of comparison between the person you are today and the person you were when you were busy, when you were needed in those specific ways, when you were perhaps earning a regular wage and feeling like a central cog in a machine. This comparison is a happiness killer. You look back at the energy you had, the demands on your time, the clear goals, and you contrast them with a day that might feel empty, unstructured, and perhaps a little lonely. This isn't to say you shouldn't cherish your memories and feel proud of your past contributions. Absolutely do that. But when you make those past glories the only benchmark, you set yourself up for disappointment. The person you were then was right for that time. The person you are now is right for this time, this. The painful reality is that dwelling on the past, on who you used to be, creates a constant feeling of inadequacy in the present. You might hear yourself saying, "Oh, I used to be able to do that," or "back in my day." And while a bit of nostalgia is harmless, when it dominates your thinking, it crowds out the possibilities of today and tomorrow. It's like trying to drive forward while only looking in the rearview mirror. You miss all the scenery passing by right now. The secret to overcoming this isn't to forget the past, but to gently unhook your present happiness from it. It's about shifting your focus from being someone specific, defined by external roles, to simply being you, now, and discovering what that means. It means giving yourself permission to explore new interests, hobbies, or even just different ways of spending your time that have nothing to do with your former working life or your parenting years. It's about finding value in the simple things, the quiet morning cuppa, the pleasure of a walk, the joy of a conversation with a friend, the satisfaction of learning something completely new just because it interests you. Let's think about practical ways to start making this shift. It begins with awareness. Catch yourself when you're idealizing the past or measuring your current self against your former self. When you notice that internal comparison happening, consciously bring your attention back to the present moment. What are you doing right now? What can you see, hear, smell, feel? A simple mindfulness exercise, even just for a minute, can help ground you in the present. Next, actively seek out new small experiences or bits of knowledge. Have you always been curious about painting but never had the time? Now you do. Always wanted to learn a bit of a new language? Plenty of apps and online resources make it easy. Even something as simple as taking a different route for your walk, trying a new recipe, or reading a book on a subject you know nothing about can spark that sense of discovery that isn't tied to your history. It's about building new points of reference for your identity and your value. You are still capable, still interesting, and still have so much to offer. Not because of what you did, but because of who you are. Right here, right now. Another powerful step is reframing how you think about purpose. Purpose doesn't have to be a grand, life-altering mission like it might have been in your working life. It can be small. Daily purposes. Maybe your purpose today is to call a friend who might be lonely, or to master a new level in a game, or to volunteer for a few hours at a local charity shop, or simply to tend to your garden with care. These small purposes add up. They give structure to your day and a sense of contribution and accomplishment that isn't reliant on your old roles. It's about finding meaning in the everyday, in the current interactions and activities that fill your time. This isn't settling, it's evolving. It's recognizing that happiness isn't a destination tied to a past state, but a journey that continues to unfold, full of new possibilities and new versions of yourself waiting to be discovered. By letting go of the need for your past identity to validate your present worth, you free up an enormous amount of energy and mental space to actually enjoy the life you have right now. It's a subtle shift, but incredibly powerful in dismantling one of the biggest, most shocking barriers to happiness in later life. Now, moving on from defining ourselves solely by the past, let's look at another common pitfall. This second mistake, and it's one I see so often, is letting every minor ache, pain, or health niggle become the absolute central focus of your life and conversations. Now, listen. I'm not for a second suggesting you ignore genuine health concerns or that the physical changes that come with age aren't real or sometimes challenging. Of course they are. It's important to listen to your body and seek medical advice when needed. The mistake, the shocking part, is when every single twinge, stiffness, or slightly off feeling is magnified, discussed at length with anyone who will listen, and becomes the dominant narrative of your day-to-day existence. When your entire identity starts to revolve around your ailments, perceived or real, it leaves very little room for anything else, especially joy. It's easy to fall into this trap. As we get older, our bodies inevitably change. Things that were easy become harder. There are new sensations that weren't there before. It's natural to be aware of these changes, but there's a fine line between being aware and letting them consume you. The painful reality of this mistake is that it shrinks your world. When you're constantly focused on how you feel physically, or how you might feel, you start to limit your activities, your social interactions, and your willingness to try new things. You might decline invitations because you're worried your back will act up, or decide against taking up a new hobby because you think your hands are too stiff, or spend hours on the phone detailing your symptoms to a friend who is lovely but perhaps not equipped to help. This intense focus on the negative physical aspects can create a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you focus on the pain, the more intense it can feel. The more you talk about being limited, the more limited you become, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Your conversation becomes dominated by symptoms, medications, and doctor's appointments, which can unfortunately become quite draining for those around you, sometimes leading to less social connection over time, which is the opposite of what we need for happiness. The secret here isn't to tough it out or pretend you're 20 again. It's about finding a healthy balance. It's about acknowledging physical realities without letting them define your entire state of being. It's about shifting your focus, even just a little bit, from what's wrong to what's still possible and what's still right. Think about it. Even on a day when you're feeling a bit stiff, is there still joy to be found in the taste of your morning tea, in the warmth of the sun on your skin, in a funny comment you read or heard, in the simple act of breathing? There are always aspects of life that are still good, still beautiful, still worth appreciating. Even when the body isn't performing exactly as it used to. Actionable steps to counter this mistake involve conscious redirection of your thoughts and conversations. When you notice yourself dwelling excessively on physical complaints, gently pivot. Ask yourself, what else is going on right now? Or, what's one small positive thing I've experienced today? When you're talking to others, make a conscious effort to steer the conversation towards topics other than your health. Ask about their lives. Talk about news, books, hobbies, shared memories that aren't centered around ailments. It takes practice, but it makes a huge difference to the quality of your interactions and your own mental state. Another practical step is to focus on what you can do to support your physical well-being, rather than just lamenting what you can't. This might involve gentle exercises approved by your doctor, eating nourishing foods, getting enough sleep, or exploring things like mindfulness or meditation, which can actually help manage the perception of pain. It's proactive rather than reactive. It's also vital to cultivate interests and activities that engage your mind and spirit, pulling your focus away from the purely physical. What did you enjoy doing before physical limitations became a concern? Or what new things could you explore that aren't heavily reliant on peak physical condition? Could it be reading clubs, bridge, painting, writing, learning an instrument, engaging in local history groups, bird watching, gentle photography, volunteering in a non-strenuous role? These activities provide mental stimulation, social connection, and a sense of purpose that isn't tied to your body's performance. They remind you that you are a person with a rich inner life, with interests and capabilities that extend far beyond physical comfort levels. Finding humor in the minor indignities of aging can also be incredibly freeing. Learning to laugh at a creaky knee or a forgotten name in a lighthearted way. Of course, not a self-deprecating one can diffuse the power these things have over your mood. It's about cultivating resilience, not ignoring reality, but choosing where you place your energy and attention. By consciously shifting your focus from constant physical complaint to appreciation for what's still good and engaging with activities that nourish your mind and spirit, you reclaim your happiness from the grip of physical worry. You become a person with interests and a zest for life who also happens to be navigating the physical realities of aging, rather than someone whose entire identity is defined by their ailments. It's a profound difference, and one that is absolutely critical for fostering happiness as the years go by. And speaking of keeping the mind engaged, that brings us to the third common mistake. And that third big mistake, the one that quietly erodes happiness, is deciding that you've finished learning, that you know enough, and effectively closing your mind to new ideas, new skills, and new experiences. It's an easy trap to fall into. After decades of formal education, on-the-job learning, and the vast education that comes from simply living life, you might feel you've gathered all the knowledge you need. You've formed your opinions, developed your routines, and the idea of grappling with something completely new might feel daunting or simply unnecessary. The world keeps changing at a rapid pace, and it can feel overwhelming to try and keep up. So, the comfortable option is to retreat into what's familiar, to stick with what you know, and to perhaps even dismiss new developments or perspectives as not for me, or too complicated. The painful reality of this mindset is stagnation. When you stop exposing yourself to new information and different ways of thinking, your world starts to shrink, and your mind can become less agile. Curiosity is a fundamental human drive, and when it's suppressed, a vital spark goes out. You miss out on the sheer pleasure of discovery, the excitement of understanding something you didn't before, the satisfaction of mastering a new skill, no matter how small. Closing your mind off can also lead to feeling increasingly disconnected from younger generations and the evolving world around you, which can foster feelings of irrelevance and isolation. You might find it harder to understand current events, new technologies, or even what your grandchildren are talking about, creating conversational barriers. Furthermore, keeping the brain active and engaged with novel challenges is one of the best ways to maintain cognitive health as you age. A mind that isn't being challenged can become duller, making things like problem-solving or adapting to change more difficult, which in turn can lead to frustration and reduced confidence. The secret to avoiding this mistake isn't becoming an expert in quantum physics or mastering the latest social media platform overnight. It's about nurturing a continuous, gentle sense of curiosity and maintaining a willingness to be a lifelong learner. It's about approaching the world with an "I wonder why" or "How does that work" attitude. No matter your age, it's about understanding that learning isn't just about acquiring facts. It's about keeping your mind flexible, adaptable, and engaged with the world. It's about the simple joy of discovering something new. Practical ways to inject more learning and curiosity into your life are everywhere. Start small. Could you decide to learn one new word every day? Or research one historical event that interests you? Could you watch documentaries or educational videos on subjects you know nothing about? Many museums and universities offer free online lectures or courses on a vast array of topics. Libraries are incredible resources, not just for books, but for language learning software, online databases, and often free classes or workshops. Even YouTube, the platform you're watching this on, is a treasure trove of tutorials on everything from knitting to fixing a leaky tap to understanding astronomy. Think about things you've always been slightly curious about but never pursued. Maybe it's the history of your local area, or how to identify different birds, or the basics of playing chess, or understanding classical music. Dedicate a small amount of time each week to exploring one of these interests. Join a local group related to a hobby, whether it's gardening, photography, walking, or a book club. These provide not only learning opportunities but also valuable social connection. Embrace technology gently. If you've resisted smartphones or computers, see if there are local classes or ask a patient younger relative to show you the basics. Learning to use these tools can open up new avenues for communication, information, and learning. Crucially, challenge your own assumptions sometimes. If you hear an opinion that's different from yours, instead of immediately dismissing it, could you try to understand why someone might think that way? Engage in respectful conversations with people who have different perspectives. This kind of mental stretching keeps your mind supple and helps you stay connected to a broader world. The key is to make learning a pleasure, not a chore. It's not about passing exams or getting qualifications anymore. It's purely for the enrichment of your own life. By staying curious and open to learning, you keep your mind vibrant. You discover new passions. You have more interesting things to talk about. And you maintain a vital connection to the ever-evolving world, all of which are fundamental components of a happy and fulfilling later life. It's about proving to yourself and to the world that age is no barrier to expanding your horizons. Now, let's move on to another crucial area that's often overlooked. And that fourth shocking mistake, perhaps the most insidious of all because it's so easy to rationalize, is underestimating the absolutely vital necessity of consistent, even small, doses of social connection, and allowing yourself to drift into isolation. We often hear about the dangers of loneliness, but this mistake isn't always about feeling lonely in a dramatic sense. It's about letting the threads of connection fray and snap, one by one, without actively weaving new ones or strengthening the old. As life changes, friends might move away. Sadly, some pass on. Family dynamics shift, and the regular social interactions that came with work or raising children disappear. It takes conscious effort to maintain connections, and when you're tired, or feeling a bit low, or just comfortable staying in, that effort can feel too much. So, you decline invitations more often than you accept. You stop making that regular phone call. You drift out of touch with neighbors. The painful reality here is profound. Humans are social creatures. We are wired for connection, isolation, even if it doesn't manifest as intense loneliness at first, is deeply damaging to both our mental and physical health. Studies have shown that chronic isolation can be as bad for your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It increases the risk of depression, anxiety, cognitive decline, heart disease, and even premature death. When you're isolated, you lack the informal support network that helps you through tough times, the people who celebrate your joys, the casual interactions that brighten your day, and the different perspectives that keep you mentally stimulated. You can become more self-referential. Your worries can magnify in the echo chamber of your own mind, and the world can start to feel like a less friendly, more threatening place. You might tell yourself you prefer your own company, and solitude is certainly valuable, but complete lack of meaningful interaction is detrimental over the long term. The secret to countering this isn't becoming the life and soul of the party, or needing a huge circle of friends. It's about recognizing that consistent, even brief, positive social interactions are like vitamins for your well-being. They are non-negotiable necessities, not optional extras. It's about understanding that quality often trumps quantity, and that even small efforts to connect can have a huge positive impact. It's about being intentional, about staying connected. Practical steps to combat this mistake start with reviewing your current connections. Who are the people in your life you value? Make a conscious effort to reach out to them regularly, even if it's just a quick phone call, a text message, or a card. Don't wait for them to call you. Take the initiative. Schedule it if you need to. Put it in your diary to call so-and-so every Tuesday, or arrange a weekly cuppa with a neighbor. Think about the kinds of interactions that nourish you. Are you an introvert who prefers one-on-one chats? Focus on cultivating a few deeper friendships. Are you more extroverted? Look for group activities. Seek out opportunities for new connections. This doesn't mean you have to become best friends with everyone you meet, but every new acquaintance is a potential source of connection. Join clubs or groups based on your interests: walking groups, book clubs, gardening societies, bridge clubs, volunteer organizations. These provide a ready-made way to interact with people who share your passions. Attend local events, classes, or workshops. Even simple, regular interactions like chatting with the person at the local shop, the librarian, or your postman can provide valuable microdoses of social connection that break up feelings of isolation. Consider volunteering. It's a fantastic way to meet like-minded people while also contributing to your community. Embrace technology as a tool for connection. Video calls are a brilliant way to see the faces of faraway family and friends. Social media, used mindfully, can help you stay in touch with people and groups. There are online communities for almost every hobby or interest imaginable. The key is to use these tools to enhance real-world connections or create meaningful virtual ones, not just passively scroll. It's also important to be open to different kinds of connections. Friends of different ages can offer fresh perspectives. Connecting with younger family members, like grandchildren, requires effort but is incredibly rewarding. Shared activities, like attending a local football match, going to a concert, or visiting a museum with someone, can be more about the shared experience than intense conversation. The point is to actively seek out and nurture interactions that make you feel seen, heard, and connected to the wider world. By prioritizing social connection, making it a non-negotiable part of your routine, you build a robust defense against the happiness-eroding effects of isolation. It requires effort, yes, but the rewards, increased well-being, resilience, and joy are immeasurable. Now, let's uncover the final mistake on our list, one that looks towards the future. So, we've talked about letting the past define you, becoming overly focused on physical complaints, closing your mind to new learning, and drifting into isolation. Each of these, in their own way, can chip away at happiness. Now for the fifth shocking mistake, and it's perhaps the one that leaves people feeling most adrift, failing to create a compelling vision or purpose for the years ahead, leaving a void where meaning used to be. It's easy to think of retirement or later life as an end state, a time when your main goals are simply to relax and perhaps manage your affairs. But humans thrive on having something to strive for, something that gives shape and meaning to their days beyond just ticking along. When you stop setting goals, stop dreaming, stop looking forward to something specific, a sense of aimlessness can creep in, which is a direct enemy of happiness. The painful reality is that without a sense of purpose or something to look forward to, days can feel empty and repetitive. The structure that work or family responsibilities provided is gone, and if you don't replace it with something of your own choosing, a vacuum is created. Boredom is a significant contributor to unhappiness and even depression in later life. When you have no specific aim, it's hard to feel motivated, hard to feel excited, and hard to feel like you're making a valuable contribution, either to your own life or to the lives of others. You might have financial plans sorted, which is important. But if you haven't thought about how you actually want to spend your most precious resource, your time and energy, the years can stretch ahead, feeling daunting rather than full of possibility. The secret to overcoming this isn't needing a grand, world-changing mission. It's about understanding that purpose comes in many forms and can be found in small, meaningful pursuits as well as larger ones. It's about intentionally deciding what you want your later years to look and feel like, and actively working towards that vision. However modest it might seem to others, it's about recognizing that you are still growing, still evolving, and still capable of setting and achieving goals. Practical steps to cultivate purpose and a future vision start with reflection. Take some time to think about what truly matters to you. Now, what activities bring you joy? What problems do you care about? What skills do you have that you could use? What have you always wanted to do but never had the time for? Don't limit yourself by perceived limitations. Just brainstorm possibilities. Your purpose could be anything from mastering a craft, to becoming an active volunteer for a cause you believe in, to writing your memoirs, to becoming the family's storyteller, to dedicating time to environmental efforts in your local area, to mentoring younger people, or even simply becoming the neighborhood's expert gardener. Once you have some ideas, choose one or two to focus on. Break them down into smaller, manageable steps. If your vision is to contribute to your community, maybe the first step is researching local charities or community centers that need help. If it's to master a craft, the first step might be signing up for a class or buying the basic materials. Setting small, achievable goals related to your larger vision provide structure and a sense of progress, which is incredibly motivating. Celebrate the small wins along the way. Sharing your vision or goals with someone else can also help keep you accountable and provide encouragement. This links back to the importance of social connection. Pursuing a purpose alongside others can amplify the benefits. Be flexible with your vision. It's okay if your interests change, or if a goal needs to be adjusted. The important thing is to have something that pulls you forward, something that gives your days direction and imbues them with meaning beyond mere existence. It's this forward momentum, this sense of striving towards something personally significant, that is a powerful engine for happiness. Remember, these aren't necessarily grand, earth-shattering mistakes, but common, often unconscious, patterns. We've talked about letting the past define you, becoming fixated on physical complaints, closing your mind to learning, allowing isolation to creep in, and failing to cultivate a future purpose. Identifying these patterns in your own life isn't about self-criticism. It's about gaining awareness, which is the first step towards making gentle, positive changes. It's about reclaiming your power to shape your own happiness in these years which, contrary to outdated notions, can be some of the most fulfilling of your life. Small changes in how you think, how you interact, and how you spend your time can make a truly massive difference. You don't have to overhaul everything overnight. Pick one area that resonated with you the most and start there. Maybe it's making that phone call you've been putting off, or signing up for that local history talk, or simply spending 10 minutes thinking about one thing you're looking forward to next week. Your experience, your wisdom, and your unique perspective are valuable assets, not just to you, but to the world around you. Don't let these common pitfalls steal your joy or diminish your sense of worth. These years are an opportunity for continued growth, connection, and contribution. They are a chance to enjoy the fruits of your labors in a way that is meaningful and deeply satisfying to you. Take these ideas, reflect on them, and see where you might be accidentally dimming your own light. Then, gently, compassionately, begin to make different choices. What are your thoughts on these 5 mistakes? Have you noticed any of them in your own life, or in the lives of people you know? What strategies have you found helpful for staying happy and engaged? As you've gotten older, I'd absolutely love to hear your experiences and insights in the comments below. Sharing your wisdom can help so many other people who might be feeling the same way. If you found this video helpful and encouraging, please do give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And if you want more ideas and support for living a fulfilling and happy life at every age, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, the journey of happiness continues throughout your entire life. Embrace it, nurture it, and live your absolute best life right now, and in all the years to come.